In this video today, I wanted to share a revelation I had with regards to difficult conversations. To best exemplify this, I think it would be best to take you back to the start of 2023. January was a crazy good month, and I can safely say that it is the single most productive month I've ever had in my life. The year began with my dad and I meeting for 8 hours to create contracts for exactly how we wanted to execute in 2023. And for the first 31 days of the year, I genuinely executed it to near perfection. Discipline was never ending, my drive to succeed was at an all-time high, and I jumped out of bed every morning excited to tackle every single day. Then, February happened. My perceived bottomless discipline came crashing down, my energy levels dropped, feelings of worthlessness dominated my perception of myself. I felt completely frustrated knowing that the month of January, I couldn't have had a more productive time. I had completely stretched myself thin, but the thing is, when you have unrealistic expectations that you fail to execute on, it's inevitable that you're going to set yourself up for disappointment, and in my case this past month, a depressive episode. Much of the joy of life was zapped. All my emotions came bubbling to the surface when my good friend Yael Berkovich, Ellie, Lil Bussin, she reached out and just asked, "How are you doing?" The typical response to a question like this is, "I'm good, how are you?" But for whatever reason, I was compelled to tell my truth. The words inside of me that I had suppressed for so long just wanted to come out. It was this type of conversation that I dreaded having. It was the anticipation of it. It was the perception that she would have of me. You know, I have a great life. I should be in a position where I'm happy. I should be grateful for what I have. And yet, I felt how I felt, and I just dreaded having this conversation. On an uncomfortable rating, it was like a 5 out of 5. But on this phone call that lasted like 3 hours and an opening up, I had a revelation about these difficult conversations. Challenging tasks and conversations are a lot more difficult in anticipation than in reality. In one of the classes I'm studying at university, there's an article titled "Reclaim Your Creative Confidence." As the article states, there are, quote, 4 fears that hold us back. Fear of the messy unknown, fear of being judged, fear of the first step, and fear of losing control, end quote. The fear of the messy unknown is fear of uncharted territory. When we don't know what to expect, we often jump to the worst case scenarios, and that's why the anticipation of the events themselves are often a lot harder than the reality. Fear of being judged ties into our innate desire for social acceptance. The paradox of life is that it's not a weakness to show your emotion, but it's actually an incredible strength. Fear of the first step is overwhelm. It's easy to look at the massive mountain in front of us and become quickly overwhelmed, but it's amazing how much one foot in front of the other and just taking action can really help propel us to the places we wish to be and even beyond them. The last one, fear of losing control, ties into our innate desire for predictability. By opening up to someone, you let them into your internal world, and this is a very vulnerable experience that in anticipation is a lot worse than it actually is. And when you actually go through it, you realize that it's liberating, insightful, and stress relieving. I wanted to share this story today to help you realize that you're not alone. It is normal to experience negative emotions. It is normal to be overwhelmed. For far too many of us, myself included, we try to battle through these things alone, but it shouldn't be like this. Call a loved one.
Ma, the meatloaf.
Send a text to a friend you haven't seen in a while, and just realize that the anticipation of having a hard conversation is so much more difficult than the conversation itself. I appreciate you all being here. It can be so hard to open up, but if you're watching this video and if you felt how I felt in February, I would encourage you to watch this video here. I get really vulnerable with my experience with depression, and I just want you to know that you're not alone. Until next time, my friends.